We do our thing, they do their thing, and together we're making magic.
Welcome back to the Change Reaction Podcast. I'm Matt West, and as we're taping this, over 42 million Americans have seen their SNAP benefits disappear in the midst of a government shutdown. But that number is just a fraction of the people who deal with food insecurity every day. Here in LA, along with a massive unhoused population, hundreds of thousands of Angelenos struggle with food insecurity. So, it's a good thing today's guest, Yossi Segelman, is leading the charge to help feed many of those folks through his work as the Executive Director of OBKLA, Our Big Kitchen. So, let's dig in. Brooke Perlman, you're back in the studio. Great to see you, my friend.
Great to see you too.
Welcome back.
Thank
and
you.
Welcome to Yossi Segelman. I'm so excited that you're here. Our Big Kitchen in West Los Angeles is doing amazing work taking care of the people in our city. And Brooke, you really kind of brought Yossi to us.
Yeah.
Right? You volunteered at Our Big Kitchen with Daphna and some people from the Change Reaction. So tell us a little bit about what that experience was like for people who have heard of Our Big Kitchen or maybe have never volunteered in a kitchen like that.
Yeah, it was so great. We had our whole team, and we brought a ton of community change agents. Maybe there were about 20 of us, maybe 30. And Our Big Kitchen is just really dialed in. Like, you kind of walk in, you put on your apron, and you get to work. Like, it's a really easy experience. It's really fun. It's a great space, by the way. And I don't know, you kind of just throw yourself into the work. You don't feel like you have to even understand what it's like to be in a kitchen if you don't cook. You know, it's just knowing that you're creating really individual, personal meals for people. It was such a fun, really easy experience. We were there for hours, and we made hundreds of meals, and it went fast, and you're kind of just moving, and you're chatting and getting to know the people you're with, and all of a sudden 100 meals, in the car on the way throughout the city. It's really great.
That's incredible. How did you set all of this up? How long has Our Big Kitchen been doing this, and where did this come from?
Great question. So OBK, as we call it, Our Big Kitchen, in this case it's OBKLA. Concept started about 20 years ago in Australia. And it actually started, there's a story behind that. It started because the founder, Leah Slavin, and her husband, David, Leah was a hairdresser looking after predominantly women going through cancer treatment. And she would end up almost becoming like a therapist as she was looking after them, asking them how they're doing and how they're coping. And more often than not, they would leave her home with whatever she had prepared for dinner that day or lunch. And after this happened a couple times, her husband said to her, maybe it's a good idea we bring some volunteers together to prepare some meals. And she liked that idea, and they did that once and did that twice. And a beautiful organization called Our Big Kitchen in Sydney started as a result, feeding about 250,000 people a year, 60 charity partners, thousands of volunteers. And the facility is actually where my office used to be when I lived in Sydney for 16 years. So I've been involved since the very onset. I'm one of the early directors. So my family and I moved out here 13 and a half years ago. And it's always something that we wanted to do, but I was caught up raising a family in the business, and it only came up during COVID when my son, who was in college at the time, had a side hustle selling subscription snack boxes. So it was like the latest and greatest in snacks that were not yet at Trader Joe's or any of the other stores that were kosher as well. And he built up, him and a friend, quite a cool little business. And they were set to go to a trade show in San Francisco just when COVID hit. And our garage was full of supplies. So around April time, March, April, we started packing these boxes and distributing these items to the local hospital, fire stations, and then reached out to a couple volunteers. And we were delivering these boxes through to about June. I remember when National Guard were out here, we took some snack boxes to them as well. And that was kind of cool. Literally started in the garage with family members and a couple friends. My brother-in-law had a restaurant that was shut during COVID. And it was called Leaders out on La Brea. And in honor of our son, the same son, who got married during COVID, in honor of his wedding, we brought a couple family members together, 6 family members together. 2 of my brother-in-law shut a restaurant and prepared 150 meals with a chef that we then distributed to a charity. This was a local charity called Tomchei Shabbos. It was food hampers for people for Shabbat for the weekend. And it was kind of cool. Felt good. And we thought we'll do it again. And we did it for a few weeks. And then we opened up an Instagram account and posted a couple pictures. And the rest is history. We moved into our new beautiful site, beautiful building. Truly a great space, right? On Pico Boulevard, 4,600 square feet. We moved there almost 4 years ago. And this is thanks to the generosity of the Feder family. We've hosted over 1,200 volunteer groups and prepared hundreds of thousands of meals. I mean, this year alone, we will prepare about 190,000 meals, 340,000 baked goods. We've hosted about 25,000 volunteers in the last 12 months, about 500 groups, 130 companies, and we're just so blessed that we're able to immerse ourselves in this initiative.
The numbers are stunning for an organization that's been around since COVID, right? So basically 5, almost 6 years, I guess, at this point, right? To be in the hundreds of thousands in terms of meals served is it's incredible. Give us a little sense of like what goes on in like a typical day.
Sure, absolutely. But let me first pull back and explain. We've got this 2,000 square foot hall prep area where people can come and volunteer and prep these meals. We've got a 1,000 square foot commercial kitchen with the latest and greatest equipment that helps us make these meals. We've got amazing chefs. We've got 4 amazing chefs, one of whom worked at a Michelin star restaurant for a couple years. And the standards that we've set up for the meals that are going out and for the volunteer experience are really 5-star. So I would credit it to timing, coming out of COVID, people looking for opportunities to connect and do good. Blessed with an amazing staff. We've got an incredible team, a very lean operation, really doing their best. And, we're up 30-40% input in terms of the number of people coming through, yet with the same number of people working. Output's almost doubled with the same number of people. So really the staff are incredible. And then the kicker here is, and the key is our ambassadors. We've got about 100, we call them Team Orange. We've got a high school ambassador division, and these are students come do their service hours. 13 schools all over Los Angeles, maybe more by now. And these kids, originally they come to do their 10, 15 hours of service, but many of them stay, for 100 hours of service. And then they help run it on the weekends on Sunday. And then during the week, we've got retirees, we've got professionals, we've got a whole crew who come in and help us run it. So every group that comes in, they feel the place is spotless. They've got a warm welcome, and they feel, like $1 million coming to do this experience.
Yeah.
How did you scale this up? I mean, this all started so organically, right? I mean, going from the garage initially, right? Like just doing the snack pack thing and then moving into a somewhat larger space into this space. Like how did you make that move from organic to what feels like a movement?
I guess I can take a little bit of credit. I've been, in business running companies, running a mine, jewelry brands for 25 years. So I come from the corporate space. Also, I guess I'm 15 years military chaplain. I've learned skills there as well. So I guess I can take a little bit of credit in terms of being able to lead the team to scale. But also we were very fortunate in Australia that Toyota donated a TPMS, which is a management system. This was actually around COVID time. And I was one of the Kaizen leads. So I was able to learn from the best in the industry, how to scale, how to create efficiencies. And we've got, as I said, an amazing team. One of our chefs is an aeronautical engineer, so a lot of engineering goes into the process as well in terms of how we order just in time, how we produce the meals. The types of meals that we produce are very labor intense, so there's a lot for the volunteers to do, but takes just a short amount of time to cook in the ovens or in the tilt skillet or using the equipment that we have. So just the setup that we have is very front of house, volunteer heavy. And that way we can also reduce our cost and scale using the current infrastructure and produce a whole lot more with a lot less.
Give me a sense of who is getting served. on a daily basis?
Great question.
By OBK.
Great question. So we've learned that I guess you can't be a specialist at everything. So our specialty is bringing volunteers together to prepare beautiful meals that are then distributed by 65 charity partners. So the charity partners are the ones that go out there and hand out these meals to the people that need it most. They know who the people are that need it. They have the skills to interact with the population that receives these meals. For example, Food on Foot, beautiful organization. They look after the unhoused in Hollywood. So every Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, 10 to 12, we have what we call an open session, open to the public, where families come in, ages 5 and up, and they prepare, it's a meatball meal. Every Sunday, we'll do between, 450 and 900 fresh meatball meals. That's fresh meatballs, fresh vegetables over pasta with a beautiful sauce. And these meals go out at 12, so 12 o'clock there. But this is from 10 to 12. At 12 o'clock, Food on Foot picks up the meals. At 1 o'clock, they're distributed. And they have the system. They've done this now for 20 years. But previously, they were paying a vendor for these meals. We provide these meals for free. So what happens is the volunteers come in. They get the fulfillment, the joy in preparing these beautiful meals in a structured, safe, and beautiful environment. The charities pick up these meals. They don't have to pay for them. So as a result, recently they told us as a result of them receiving these meals for free, they can house 10 unhoused people in Hollywood in a shelter.
Wow. As
a direct result of not having to pay for those meals. So the volunteers do great work and feel fantastic about contributing their time. The organizations save money, and the recipients are getting a fresh, delicious meal made with a lot of love that can be eaten. It's probably still warm, but certainly can be eaten room temperature. And that's why we do that every Sunday morning. So that's an example of an organization doing great work in the community, understands how to connect with the population that needs this. And then we do our thing, they do their thing, and together we're making magic.
That's an incredible ripple effect. I can't even believe that.
That's right in the DNA of kind of how the Change Reaction operates too, right? Like we're very lucky to have so many partners, right?
Yeah, I know Food on Foot. It was one of the first organizations I volunteered at maybe 10, 15 years ago, pre-Change Reaction with my dad.
Amazing. And another example that I heard recently is Ronald McDonald House. Beautiful organization, so we provide them 75 meals a week. And I'm told that as a result of them receiving these meals, they can then take these funds and deploy it to support families who's a member of their family going through going through a treatment at the local hospital. So instead of just grabbing whatever it is from the snack shelf, they can actually take a meal, heat the meal up real quick, and eat it on the go. Another example is People Concerned on Skid Row. Been picking up for years. Every Monday morning, 150 of our fresh meatball meals. So the reason we do meatballs is because many of the recipients have oral hygiene issues. So this is easy for them to eat, easy for them to chew, can be eaten room temperature as well. So People Concerned take these meals, pick them up every Monday morning, and store it at their location on Skid Row. Then the community outreach workers take it take it with them, and when they hand it out, they're able to connect with the recipient and do a check-in, a mental health check-in, a health check-in. So it's a really cool system. It's a really cool ecosystem of kindness what's going on here.
It's amazing, and it's bigger than I even really understood, just being on the volunteer side, which is so cool.
It's incredible. When I hear you talk about it, you're so versed in it, and I can feel the enthusiasm for what you do. Were you always wired this way, or is the enthusiasm coming from the work that you're doing? Because Brooke and I often talk about the idea of, once you start getting into this kind of work, you call it the giving muscle, right?
Yeah.
Gets trained up. Give me a sense of like the enthusiasm and where it comes from. Is it because of this, or
that's a great question,
right?
That's a great question. I would say I thank God every day for putting me in this situation. And my wife is actually the program director. She's the one who brings in the groups. And literally every single day I come home and I say, I feel so blessed that I get to do what I do, work with the people that I do. I jump out of bed every day because I feel strongly that what we're doing is making real change. And you are the Change Reaction. This is really quintessentially what it is, I think, the ripple effect. Because and again, what really drives me is the volunteerism, is fostering volunteerism amongst Angelenos, and particularly amongst young people. to be honest, it's anyone. Just giving people an opportunity. When I see them walk through the door, and initially, your first time, Brooke, when you came in, it would have been, okay, what's going on here? What am I doing? But within minutes, you're in a rhythm. There's music playing. You're given instruction. And there's a couple aha moments. There's, when everyone's, when all the, what happens? Let me walk you through it. It actually goes on for a second.
Let's go.
Let's do it. So, the process here is people sign up to volunteer. They go online, obkla.org.
Oh, I've been trying to get on the wait list for a while.
There we go. Well, you got to hook up. You can just text me. But still, what happens is we have a couple opportunities a week. We do anywhere between 10 to 15 groups of volunteering a week. 3 of those generally open to the public. It's an open session that's every Sunday morning for families. Now, whilst there's a wait list, go on that wait list because people's plans change and it always clears, right?
So this is Sundays for people.
That's Sundays with families.
Okay,
That's great. Monday mornings, we've got an amazing group of retirees. We've got these people, and interesting because the wait list, right, clears because people cancel. Monday, no one ever cancels. This is a group. These are people that have made friends. They'll go walking before, they'll go for coffee after, they'll go for lunch. And we play Motown and ABBA. And we've even got a DJ coming in on the 1st of December. It really, really is so special. Great energy. And this particular group, they've been doing it for so long that they know exactly what to do. They welcome others who come in. You don't have to be retired, by the way, to come in on Monday morning at 11. But you're just going to be off work. And then Wednesday nights, we do this twice, every second Wednesday, where 21 plus, once the knives are away, we bring out some beer and wine, and some non-alcoholic beverages, just a little way of saying thank you to our volunteers. Great networking opportunity. So that's open to the public. The rest of the time, it is generally groups. So for example, this morning we had a school group. This afternoon we have NBC Universal coming and UTA coming this evening. Oak Tree are coming tomorrow. UCLA students were there last night. So about a third of our volunteers are between the ages of 11 and 26, and 2/3 are older. And what really brings me joy and brings the team joy, seeing people get engaged, wanting to come back and just become more sensitive to giving of self and to the awareness to the food insecurity situation, which obviously we'll touch on. But once they come on in, they will receive instruction. They'll put on aprons, hairnets, caps, gloves, sanitize, and then get started. Chef will show them how to chop. If they're kids, they'll be rolling out meatballs or cookies. And within 90 minutes, they go through 6 steps. So prepping the veggies, the meatballs or the chicken, they'll be prepping the first dish. The next step after sanitizing is they will prepare the packaging, the labeling. We've got beautiful packaging that goes out. Then they'll clean up again, put on new gloves, roll out our famous chocolate chip cookies or our new lemon cookies, or for the holiday season, snickerdoodle cookies. Then they will take a bit of a break, and we'll give a kitchen tour if the time allows and the group is of the right size, and would appreciate that. And then we set up production lines where we're packing those meals, and we've got those different stations to put in we've got a container flipper at the front, and then the pasta, the rice, the meatballs or the chicken, the vegetables, the sauce, place the lids, label it, package it, and then the cookies come out. Once that's all clear up, you taste the cookie first, and then you pack the cookies. And then what's super cool, at the end of every group, we'll always tell the participants to take a pack of cookies. And this is their good deed cookie. It's like pay it forward, OBK it forward. And what they do is they find someone within 24 hours who they can give that pack of cookies to. Could be someone who's doing, it's just having a tough day. Could be someone who's unhoused. Could be someone who's unhoused and having a tough day. We've got so many stories. I had someone just come by the other day, just ring the bell, come in and say, I just want to say thank you. Someone gave me a cookie the other day, and it just made my day and brought a smile. I just want to and that's why we say pay it forward, because it just gets people having a conversation. Who could I give that cookie to? And as a family, who should we be taking? Should we take it to the fire station? Should we take it to the local hospital? Should we give it to someone who's unhoused? That's the idea, and that's how you can actually take something practical and pay it forward.
You are speaking our language.
This is 100%. Like this is literally what our Show Us Your Heart campaign is designed to do, is to get people thinking about how something as small as giving somebody a cookie can really change the whole trajectory of their day. Yep. And I think the other thing too is when you describe the energy and the experience for those volunteers, that really creates that experience. Like you know, for you when you volunteered at OBK, right?
Yeah.
Like it was formative, right? Like
Yeah.
it was, you know, it's something that you still speak about with a lot of enthusiasm. You have people who come back and repeat it. I want to touch on a little bit because look, we're taping this in November, right? Obviously getting close to the Thanksgiving season, and that's when a lot of people and a lot of organizations and a lot of companies start thinking about, ooh, let's volunteer in a kitchen. There's certainly a lot more demand around this time of year, but the idea that the need for fresh food for the wide swaths of people who live with food insecurity is really a year-round thing. So can we just talk about how do you think, based on your experience, when it comes to encouraging people to volunteer, how can we do a better job amongst ourselves to cultivate a feeling of volunteerism and a desire to help out?
It's a great question. I personally think it's just start. And if it's November that motivates you, if it's the holiday season that motivates you to do something with your family, so be it. Go do it, because you'll get hooked. If you do it, you will feel that feeling of the amazing feeling of giving back. And I think there's no good time or bad time to do it. So if it's the holidays that motivate you to do it, go do it. Find something that you connect to, and involve the family. If you're doing this as a family, have conversations around why you're doing why you suggest we volunteer. I can say that the moments that I volunteered personally as a kid, and and in the later years as a family, they're formative. And I think exposing the young generation to volunteer, and frankly, anyone coming out of, over the last couple of years, people are always, they're looking down at their phones and they're working remotely. We all need connection. And I think how you would describe what goes on at OBK in one word is connections. So we're connecting with each other by volunteering and connecting with people that we will never meet, essentially, but still connecting to them through putting our heart and soul and love into the meal that we're preparing together to give to others. So I think just starting, just doing something, even if it's the research at this point about what volunteer opportunities exist, I think is the first step. And you'll be hooked.
That's huge. But the need also exists far beyond November.
Oh, absolutely. November is for us, it's the busiest month. I mean, we've got double the amount of groups in November than we had in October. And yeah, January, February are quieter. And what we try to encourage people who reach out, specifically, companies and groups that want to come in and volunteer, exactly as you say, there will be the need in January and February, and therefore please consider, whilst the holidays are important, we're actually fully booked now, but please consider coming out with your team in January, in February, in March, through the summer months. The summer months are quite difficult because there's a large need, less people around. So what we do is we just produce more meals per group to meet the need, because we guarantee our charity partners the meals. It's not just we have meals, we'll give it. We have a baseline of 5,000 meals a week we need to send out because the charities are relying on it. So I encourage people to do this year round, but if you're feeling it now, start. But I can tell you that once you do start volunteering, you're hooked. And if you have an opportunity, be it at OBK or at the food bank or wherever there is an opportunity, just go do it, and do it with your full heart. Keep your phone in your pocket and just connect with the people that you're working with, and you'll want to do it again.
I want to touch on one of the numbers that you just threw out. You do about 5,000 meals a week. Mm-hmm. That's the baseline. Mm-hmm. And you're just one facility doing that. But that's not the sum total of meals that are needed across the city of Los Angeles. Do you have some kind of a broader understanding of what food insecurity and what the need is just here in LA or
it's
LA
a great
County?
Question. Great question. From what I understand, and this is working with Mazone, this is a food advocacy organization that we do a fair bit of work with. The numbers that I've heard recently are about 18%. 18 to 20%. So that's 1 in 5 Angelinos are facing a form of food insecurity. And obviously what's going on now with SNAP and EBT and food stamps, as they're known, we don't know where this is going to go. But I can tell you that 1 in 5 of our neighbors are doing it tough and having to make choices. My personal definition of food insecurity is that when someone's filling up their car with gas to go to work, and they're having to think, how much can they fill up? Do they have enough money to fill up a tank of gas and feed their family, or go buy a nutritious dinner? For me, that is the definition of food insecurity, and I think that's far greater than 1 in 5. I would suspect that's closer to 1 in 4 Angelinos are having to make calculations. Can I afford to fill up my car with gas to go to work and feed my family? Will this work? Inflation and rising just overall cost of living. There are a lot of people doing it tough, and the need is great and will become greater.
I was going to ask, because to me it feels overwhelming to think that it's kind of a never-ending need.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the world, but in LA specifically. So I'm just curious, how do you continue to do the work knowing it's a never-ending need without it overwhelming you?
Great question. I think it's just focusing on what we can do. And I'm very aware that we haven't begun to scrape the tip of the iceberg. I mean, personally, my goal is that no one within 5 miles of our location should go to sleep without eating a nutritious meal at night. That's my personal goal. Again, I have yet to quantify what that actually means. But again, I think in today's day and age, with all the advancements that we have as society, we should not be accepting that it's okay for anyone to just go to sleep hungry, or a parent having to make sacrifices on the amount that they will eat or the quality of nutrition that they personally will eat to be able to feed their kids. I think that really is tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're ostensibly operating a commercial kitchen, right? What kind of regulations and what kind of standards exist when you're operating a facility like that? I actually have a deep history of working in restaurants and in catering kitchens. So when you describe the working environment at OBK, it gets me excited. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was like. And I'm not speaking about what you're operating, but when you're working in restaurants or you're working in catering, there's so much food waste, and there's so many barriers and standards and restrictions that keep perfectly good food from getting into the hands of more people who need it. So, one of the things we've talked about recently as it pertains to food insecurity is the idea that we actually have enough food here in the United States to feed everybody. We have more than enough food. So it's kind of awful that we can't, or we won't, or we create systems that put barriers between food and people, because like we were saying before the show, it's a human thing.
Again, at OBK, nothing's wasted. So everything is used, and we find uses for everything, and everything is composted. But I do understand what you were referring to in terms of the limitations. I would suggest that the biggest limitation is the logistics. Yeah. It's how you get the food from a studio, for example, that has leftover catering, or from a wedding that has leftover catering. Because you can, in theory, if the food is kept in a food safe manner, you can repurpose the food, and that's being done. But on scale, I think the biggest issue is the logistics. A, connecting the dots between the food donor and the organization, and B, getting it from the organization to the recipient. Because to take it from the food donor to the recipient is not going to work. There's an art in feeding, in getting the meals to the end recipient. You got to know, are they families? Are there dietary restrictions? And if they're unhoused, there's technicalities around that as well, with all the good intention. So I think the biggest issue here is the logistics in moving around that food. It's a beautiful organization in Australia, done a lot of work with, it's called Oz Harvest, and exactly that, how they're able to repurpose and redeploy the food. I think the other issue that we're finding, and one of our biggest logistical issues, is that our charity partners are just short-staffed and strapped for resources. And whilst they would like to be able to send more staff with refrigerated trucks to pick up meals and repurpose that, they just don't have the funds or the capacity to engage more people in this activity. And that personally is our biggest impediment to growth, is the ability for additional charity partners to deploy resources to be able to connect those dots.
As a connector, right? Because that's really part and parcel of what you're doing, right? You are connecting people with one another. You're connecting people with food. You're connecting organizations with the ability to move food to people in need. Are you finding that the organizations that you support are also connecting with one another and trying to connect the dots between their need, or is it all kind of very disparate?
That's an interesting question. I mean, we've got quite a broad range of charity partners. That's a good idea. I haven't thought about creating a framework where our partners connect as well and share ideas. That's actually a great idea. I'll take that one on. What we have is one of our distribution partners up in Northridge, Aaron's Pantry. They do a great job in bringing volunteers on board to then distribute the meals to other charities in the area. So we deliver a pallet to Northridge every Tuesday. Actually, one of our ambassadors, a recently retired judge who doesn't play golf, and he comes over and volunteers a lot and drives once a week, does this run. And that's huge for us, just to know that someone can take care of that. Once the meals get to Northridge, the other charity partners are given notice that, say, in X amount of time, someone will be coming with a crate of meals. So please be sure someone's there so you can put it in the fridge. And then from there, it is distributed to people in need in that side of the valley. But that's an example of charity partners working together. But I think we could do a whole lot more.
It's a wild web that you've got to navigate there within that. I'm curious, in having grown this, right, from an operation in the garage to now this massive commercial kitchen with these incredible charity partners and distribution partners, what's been the biggest challenge? I mean, because it could be any number of things, right? Just look, coming from kitchens, the process of preparing meals at scale is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is a lot to deal with. But when you're talking about the challenges of the logistics of moving those meals into the hands of people, which is honestly, thank you, something I never even considered, right? Like, because you look at, especially working in the industry, right? We see so much catering, you're like, this is all going to waste. It's a shame. But it's so much more complicated than that, like you explained. So what's been the biggest challenge for you?
I would say
that's
our biggest challenge. So I would say in order, it's the logistics around charity partners. That would be the biggest bottleneck, because if we had, for example, today, if we produced another 1,000 meals, so we have limited storage space, we need to make sure these meals get out. So I would say the logistics associated with the charity partners getting their meals and and being able to do that in a timely, food-safe manner, an efficient manner. That would be challenge number one. The next challenge is people. Obviously we need more. We need to bring on more staff, which then equates to funding. But we're blessed with an abundance of Angelinos who want to come on in and volunteer. And I think as we onboard more charity partners and are able to provide efficiencies around the distribution, we will then bring on more people, secure the funding for that, and be able to host more volunteer sessions and introduce the joy of volunteering at OBK to more Angelinos.
Can you define food safe? Is that what you said?
Yep. No, good question. So food safe essentially is to ensure that the meals that we prepare maintain a certain temperature and are consumed by a certain time. So for example, if it's 4 days in the fridge or X amount of time frozen, we want to make sure that the meals stay at a certain temperature or below a certain temperature for a period of time, and don't stay in the fridge too long, don't stay in the freezer too long. That's one part of it. The other part of it is how you prepare the meal to ensure that it's in a sanitary environment and everyone's wearing their hairnets and caps and gloves, etc.
Yeah, I ask because I feel like a big takeaway is when you were just explaining the cookie, paying it forward. If someone were to hear this and they can't get off the wait list in the next month or two, but they want to get involved, finding maybe a packaged good or doing their own food safe meal to a stranger. Yeah,
I think that's a beautiful way of just paying it forward. Is you're baking some cookies at home, exactly, make a couple extra and take them around to your local emergency service workers. Or to, I mean, the issue here is when you're dealing with our unhoused population in LA is, one has to be very mindful in how one provides food, what type of food in your communication. I mean, that's a whole other discussion, but one has to remember that just buying a meal and providing it to someone who unhoused isn't necessarily the right the solution at the moment. There may be other things that person needs, and that's why I always caution in this specific area of distribution that it's an art. There are beautiful organizations such as Food on Foot and People Concern that have deep expertise in dealing with mental health issues and many other issues, and I would suggest that the thing that I've learned is that anyone who is unhoused, it's about smiling, it's about asking them their name, it's about having the conversation with them, and treating everyone as you wish to be treated. And then I think the nutrition is the next step. The first step really is acknowledging that these are real people. This is someone's father, mother, brother, sister, son, daughter, and there is additional layers that need to be dealt with. But the first step is smiling and saying a kind word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough to just be compassionate, right? There's often some kind of underlying issue, not just the compassion concern, right, and meeting people where they are, but there could be any underlying mental health issue or just abuse or trauma that they've faced from being on the street, and just being approached randomly with food is maybe not the safest thing. And we want to make sure that yes, people eat, but we also want to make sure that people who are trying to help are doing that in a safe way.
So what I would suggest in this case is obviously support organizations that are dealing with this problem in a very proactive way, and number two, just acknowledging and understanding when you see someone who's unhoused that they are as I said, they're a brother or sister, a son, a daughter, and just look at it from that compassionate perspective. I think that's step one.
It's worth noting too that not everybody that you serve is necessarily unhoused.
Correct.
Right? So it's not just the unhoused population in Los Angeles, which is massive. I can't even remember what the number was from the last count, but I'm stunned at how it's grown in the last 5 to 7 years. And I've been in Los Angeles for 25 years. When you look at that, we talk about this all the time at the Change Reaction. Like, we know as an organization, and we're a very small organization with a very big network of partners and organizations that we work with to support, but we can't save everybody. No. We do the very best that we can to help as many people as possible. Same kind of thing for you, right? You can't feed everybody as hard as you work, at as many great partners as you have. How do you square that and stay motivated, knowing that there's a greater need than you'll ever be able to fulfill?
It's a great question. We focus on what we can do. We focus on the here and now, and that provides that level of comfort and that level of motivation. Important to note that, as you said, not all our recipients are unhoused. I think it's around 60% of our recipients are actually seniors dealing with chronic health issues. And the problem there is you don't eat well, it perpetuates a cycle of ill health. Many of our recipients also are young people. We have a number of student organizations we work with. These are students that are unhoused. I didn't even know that it was possible. We have students living in cars because they can't afford to balance it all. So there's a beautiful partnership we have with a number of charities to make sure that these students are eating well. So they know they can come in, grab a meal, heat it up, and have some protein, eat something nutritious. In this way, their grades won't suffer as a result of poor nutrition. We have other organizations that support families who are doing it tough, either unfortunately because of a chronic health issue of a family member, or they're just at the moment doing it tough. But again, these charities have their ear to the ground. And in some cases, it could be that the OBK meals are a primary source of nutrition. In some cases, it could be that there's a hamper and this is just one element of it. It varies, and then it's time of year. So for example, around the holiday season, we provide large community pans of our meals to some organizations such as Safe Parking and others, because they're having these large, outdoor Thanksgiving meals, etc. It depends.
I mean, the work that you're doing is phenomenal. The scale, the quality, the attention to detail, and I think probably most importantly underneath that, the heart.
Yeah.
That's clear. I can feel it just sitting right here. So,
Yeah.
Yossi, I want to thank you for coming in and sharing the story with us, and
Thanks for having me.
and for all the good work that you're doing.
Appreciate
too,
it.
man.
Thank you. Hope to have you come and check out OBK soon.
Definitely. I'll be back.
And Brooke,
for
you
sure.
come back. That's
I'll
right.
be there for sure.
Thank you.
You can find out more about Our Big Kitchen and a slew of the partner organizations they work with, many of whom are partners of the Change Reaction, by the way, by checking out the links in the show notes. Be sure to like and subscribe, and maybe share this conversation with a friend. My thanks again to Yossi for taking time away from the kitchens at OBKLA, and to Brooke Perlman for being my sous chef for this conversation. I'm Matt West. Thanks for watching.